So I now move today and pay very good attention. This is the most interesting, and not only interesting, help me out, my chair suddenly went down. Not only interesting, it is perhaps the most fascinating part of this chapter. The most fascinating part of this chapter. Let's go to graphs. Okay. Let us understand graphs. Okay. Few of the understanding that you need to have. A graph does not mean the graph quadrant that you have and what you do. A graph actually means the plot. The plot is known as the graph. Matlab, suppose you have a plot like this. Okay, cricket ka plot le lete hain. Suppose they say China was gone, India creeping ahead, in Australia just lying back with 1 wicket gone. This is called the graph. This is the graph. That pink and yellow is called graph. Understood? Hence on, if I say graph, I'm actually referring to the plot. Right? This is called the graph. Now let's understand with graph. The first concept here that we need to understand before moving to graph is, and pay very good attention. If you understand this well, you understand coordinate geometry of class 11 well. Slope of a line. In Cambridge, people have little bit learned about it in grade 9 or grade 10, but CBSE doesn't touch it at all. Slope of a line. We'll now try to understand what is slope of a line. Right? We now go to our kindergarten classes where we have 3 types of line: standing line, slanting line, sleeping line. Agree? 3 types of line. And the whole story is with these 3 types of line. Right. Let me plot a Cartesian coordinate system. This is a Cartesian coordinate system. And wherever you don't understand, stop me right then and there. This is something new for you. Quite interesting. However, a bit of challenge will also be there. This is a Cartesian coordinate system, right? And this is my x dash negative. This is x positive, y dash negative. This is 0. Say, suppose a line is plotted on this. Let's say, let me take a line like this, a slanting line. And I'm asked that, what is the slope of this line, right? What is the slope of this line? Zoe, Neha, your cameras have gone away. Okay, right, fine. What is the slope of this line? Now, the first thing that comes to my mind is, what is slope? Slope actually means, if you talk it about in terms of Hindi, dhalan, kitna dhal gaya hai line. In other words, what you do is that it is comparable. Ek bachcha yahan pe bitha do, swing karke bachcha gir jayega. That is the exact definition of slope. Now, let us first understand, what does slope mean? I cannot give you a formula right now itself, but first we'll try to understand what is an indication of slope. An indication of slope, mark my words, an indication of slope is given by the angle made by the line with the positive direction of x-axis. I repeat, an indication of slope is given, it's not measurement of slope. It's an indication of slope which is given by the angle made by the line with the positive direction of x-axis. That means I am referring to this angle theta. Okay, now you don't know this. Hence on angles we will refer like this. You write a cursive O and you make like that. This is the Greek word theta, theta. Okay, theta. Or we will also use the words like, this is another word, this which is like the directly proportional sign alpha, and you will use another word which is like the B with a little bit long stem. This stands for beta. I'll be using these words frequently. Theta, alpha, beta. How to write it? If you want to write theta, just write the cursive O. Just write the cursive O. This is theta. Directly proportional means alpha, and beta is with a long stem B. Clear? Fine. Theta, alpha, beta. These we will be referring a lot now in our discussion. Okay, right, fine. Let's go ahead. So, slope of a line is given by the angle, okay? Angle made by the line with positive direction of x-axis. Positive direction of x-axis. Now, what is the positive direction of x-axis? Anyone? Positive direction of x-axis is always this side. This is positive direction. This is positive direction. Wherever you draw. Sir, is this positive direction? Yes. Is this positive direction? Yes. Sir, is this positive direction? Yes. These are all positive directions of x-axis. Understood? Now, this is not the value of the slope. This is an indicator of slope. Okay. This theta is an indicator of slope. It is not giving you the measurement of slope. But definitely it's an indicator. Means the slope will be some value of theta. Understood? Okay. Now I calculated the slope of this line at this particular point. Now my friend Sudriti says, sir, I would like to differ from you. I would like to calculate the slope of the line at this particular point. At this particular point, where here. Then I tell her, beta, you are not calculating anything different. You are also going to find the angle as theta because both the green lines are parallel and these are corresponding angles. Have you understood? Whether you calculate the slope at head or at tail, as long as this particular item is a line, the theta will be constant. How many of you agree with me? The theta will be constant, whatever way it is. Agreed? Which lets me conclude with one thing which is very important for my grade 9. And the first concept that I developed, slope of a line is always constant. Slope of a line is always constant because wherever you measure the angle with the positive direction of x-axis, you are going to have the same angle, right? Is this much clear? Okay? Slope of a line is always constant. Bolo.
Can you explain it once more?
What is a slope? What is, you understood what is a line? I'm having a line which is inclined. A slope of a line is some value. I right now don't know that value, but that value will depend exactly on the angle made by the line with the positive direction of x-axis, with the positive direction of x-axis. It will depend on that. So as long as my theta does not change, my slope should not change. I don't know the formula of slope, but I know that it depends on the positive direction of x-axis. So as long as my theta does not change, my slope does not change. Is it understood?
Yes.
I calculated the slope at this point A. Sudriti argued and calculated the slope at B, but we are landing up at the same value of theta. So the slope does not change, which makes you understand that if you would have calculated the slope out here also, it does not change. It still remains the same because they are all parallel lines. And as long as the lines are parallel, the angles are going to be the same. Is this much understood or not? Just tell me. This is also will be theta.
Yes, sir.
Let us now try to give you another example in which what I tried to explain will be more clear. Let me say that this time I don't have a line. I don't have a line. What do I have? Children, I have a curve. I have a curve. Slope of a line is constant means, once again, you bring that concept in your mind. If you actually place that bacha is going to glide uniformly through a line. That's why you have sliding ladders. In park, you have sliding ladders. The child is going to glide uniformly. Now let's take a curve. और यहाँ पे बच्चा बिठाओ. 3 पोजीशन पे बच्चे को बिठाएंगे हम. यहाँ पे बिठाएंगे, यहाँ पे बिठाएंगे, यहाँ पे बिठाएंगे. Don't you think position A, position B, position C, at position A the child is more vulnerable to साट करके गिरेगा जाके एकदम. Position B में थोड़ा कम and C में एकदम मजे से गिरेगा वो. Which makes us conclude that slope of a curve is not constant. It differs at point to point, right? And how do we find out slope of a curve? Not in your course, you did not understand. We draw tangents to the curve at that particular point. हम हर point पे एक tangent draw करेंगे, ऐसे tangent draw करेंगे, and we will find what is the angle made by the tangent with the positive direction of x-axis at that point. If you see, the angles are all different. The angles are, oh sorry, where did I make it? 1 minute, huh, bacha. So if you see, yeah, 1, then this is another positive direction of x-axis. Sorry. Okay, so this is another positive direction of x-axis, and this is another. If you look at the angle A, the angle that is made at A, this angle is the steepest angle. Let me call it alpha. Let me call it beta. Let me call it theta. Aap khud hi bolo. Don't you see alpha is most steep, followed by beta? So alpha steep means slope at A is the highest, slope at B is medium, and slope at C is the least. We will not be discussing this one too much in detail. Our discussion will be more on slope of a line. समझ में आया slope of a line क्या है? Slope of a line, yet I have not defined to you what is slope. I just gave you the indicator of slope of a line is given by the angle made by the line with the positive direction of x-axis. We now will keep our discussion only restricted to angles. Let's go
Sir?
to, yes sir, please.
What is alpha, beta, and theta? Theta.
Theta, these are Greek values for unknown quantities, just like you have learned m, n, x, s, t, like that.
So it's not like one is greater than the other.
No. But in this particular example, alpha is greater than beta. These are just names.
Okay.
Names like say Shaurya, Jaydeep, but it doesn't mean Jaydeep is better than Shaurya, you know. It's just like that. They're just names, arbitrary names.
Sir, I have a doubt.
Yeah, please, anyone, whatever doubt you have, you can ask.
Sir, in the slope of a curve, right?
Right.
When will we actually learn it? Do we learn it this year?
We do not learn it, but we will give some examples. Slope of a curve is never constant. And you cannot apply the approach of line like you just take a positive direction of x-axis, because the slope, its curve itself is not line. A curve is a curved figure. So what you do, if anybody asks you, Sanvi, what is the slope of the curve? You say, sir, your question is wrong. You tell me slope of the curve at which point? Okay, Sanvi, slope of the curve at C. Okay, at C, sir, draw a tangent. You may not know what is a tangent also. Tangent is a straight line which touches a curve at only one point. So we'll restrict this. What do we mean by tangent? It is there in this year's course. Okay, tangent means, suppose you have a circle. A tangent is that line which touches the circle exactly at one point. एक point पे touch करके जाएगा. It's there in our mathematics this year. That's called tangent. That's why when somebody talks gibberish, you say, I don't know, it just went like a tangent from my head. The whole teaching did not enter your head. It just touched your head at one point and went away. That's why you use the English word. I don't know. He says he just discusses something in a tangent. Have you understand? This is called tangent. So if you want to find the slope of a curve, you first need to fix what? You first need to fix a point. First, fix your point. Sir, my point is C. Very good. Draw a tangent at C, and then you get a line. Now you find the angle with the positive direction of x-axis of that tangent. Whereas for a line is always a straight line wherever you draw. ठीक है? Sanvi, did I answer you? It will get clear slowly. थोड़ा सा cloud रहेगा, the cloud will get away. Don't worry. Okay, let's come. Let's take some more examples of lines now. Sir, you drew a line which was very, very like this. Sir, why didn't you draw a line like this? Now let me draw a line like this. It's also a slanting line. Okay, and let me make a positive direction of x-axis with this line. Okay, so positive direction of x-axis. Let me make the positive direction out here. Okay, and I'm now putting up both the figures on your screen vision. You need to tell me, suppose that angle was theta and I call this angle as alpha. What difference do you see between theta and alpha? Come, that's geometry. What is the difference you see between theta and alpha? That means concentrate on this figure and on this figure. What is the difference between theta and alpha that you see?
Acute angle and obtuse angle.
Who said that?
Me, sir.
Very good. Out here we find that theta is making an acute angle. Out here we find that it is making an obtuse angle. Thus, our first conclusion has already come. If theta is acute means the angle should be such that theta is greater than 0 degree and less than 90 degree. Then only I call it acute. I hope you're able to follow this relation. My conclusion will be slope is positive. This will be very important. Acceleration positive, acceleration negative. Now looking at graphs, you will be able to say, if theta is acute, slope is positive, and if theta is obtuse, that is, theta's measurement would be such that it is greater than 90 degree and less than what? 180 degree. In that case, I will say slope is negative. बच्चा ये दोनों बहुत important चीज लिखा रहा हूं, बहुत important चीज. This is utmost important thing. Theta acute, theta obtuse. So if you look at this particular line, you will say the slope is negative. It's a negative slope. And here we will say slope is positive. How many need a re-explanation on that? Do not hesitate. Okay? Yes, Sarthak, bolo betu.
Sir, the acute and obtuse point I didn't understand.
Look at the first figure where I have shown theta. What do you look at the what is your conclusion about that angle theta? दिखने में कैसा लग रहा है? Acute angle नहीं है? Acute है ना?
Yes, sir.
Okay, look at the angle alpha, नीचे वाला figure. Obtuse दिख रहा है वो angle?
Yes, sir.
If the angle made by the line with the positive direction of x-axis, what is theta? Remember, theta and beta का मतलब क्या है? This is angle between line and positive direction of x-axis. If this angle is acute, you will say the slope of the line is positive. Sir, what positive? We will come to that. I have still not given you the formula for slope, but whatever value you calculate, that will be a positive value. Okay? And
Yes,
if the angle is negative, that will be a negative value. अभी मान के चलो, आगे आगे clear होगा. थोड़ा और examples करते हैं अभी. Only on positive, negative. Okay? So we are हमने curve को एक side में रख दिया. We have kept curve at one side. Right? Let me take some more examples. Number 1. Number 2. If you don't revise this content, now you're gone for a toss. By the way, I'm telling you. Number 3. Number 4. Let's see some lines. Okay. I made a line like this. 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 Okay. And let's name the figures. Figure number 1. Figure number 1. Array. 1, 2, 3, 4. Chalo, let's start. Figure number 1. What is your observation on the slope of the line? What is your observation? My conclusion in terms of negative, positive. Nothing more than that I'm asking as of now. Figure 1.
Negative.
Negative. Why do you say negative? You have got only one tester with you, and your tester is very simple. The tester is positive direction of x-axis. Anywhere on the line, make a positive direction with x-axis. Now look at the angle. Let's make the positive directions of x-axis with every line. Wherever you want. Wherever you want. Wherever you want. Okay? Now let's plot the angles. Down, 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 down. This is obtuse. This is acute. This is obtuse. This is acute. Can we conclude about the slopes now? What is the slope here?
Positive.
Negative.
Negative. Okay. This is negative. What is the slope here?
positive.
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 What is the slope here? Negative.
Negative.
What is the slope here? Positive. Tell me now, children, if a line is given to you, will you be able to comment on the slope of that line? Is this much? Have you acquired that much skill or not by now? Zoe madam, are you clear so far on the slope of the line? Positive or negative? You will be asked to only conclude on whether it's a positive or negative. Can you do that? Vanya, everyone have a look. If you have the slightest doubt, stop me now, there and there. Do you think that you are confident enough to comment on the slope of a line if the line is given to you? Right, very good. Chale aage. Okay. Right now, since you have said that you are confident and you will be able to say, now I have got 2 more lines for you. Kindergarten, there was 3 types of line. What were the line? Standing line, sleeping line. These 2 I didn't bring you till now. I only brought slanting lines. Chalo, let's now comment on the slope of these lines. Sarthak bol. चलो चलो गलत हो गए ज्यादा से ज्यादा मुंह तो खोलो क्या होगा गलत होगा तुम तो सीख रहे हो बच्चों तो गलत होने के चांसेस है
A is complementary and B is supplementary.
No, complementary and supplementary are not at all these things. Complementary, supplementary are different things. Complementary angles means angles which add up and give you 90 degrees. Supplementary are angles which add up and give you 180 degrees. I'm talking about slope. What is your tool to identify slope? You tell me, what is your tool? What is the tool to identify slope? So far, I've taught you only one tool. You gauge the slope with that tool. If you are not answering, you're not paying attention. एक ही tool है तुम्हारे पास. वो tool क्या है?
Positive direction of
Positive direction of x-axis. You have only one.
right angle है तो.
हाँ तो निकालो ना उस tool को. छुपा के क्यों रखे हो? निकालो. So let's draw a
Right
positive
angle.
direction of x-axis. This is positive direction of x-axis. This is positive. Right. Now comment on the angles. Let's comment on the angles. B के लिए angle कितना है?
9 B के लिए 180.
180.
90 degree.
Hey, B के लिए what is the angle of the line?
Zero,
with
zero.
positive- Zero degree.
Zero.
It's 0 degree with the positive direction of x-axis. It's 0 degree. And what is the angle with A?
90.
90 degree. So write your next two observations. If it is with 0 degree, see, you people are not enjoying or paying attention. Otherwise, if I would have at your place, I would have answered. क्या आंसर आएगा पता है? अभी सुन के इतना गुस्सा आएगा. You will feel so angry about yourself. How fools we were that we did not answer it. If it is 0 degree, the slope is always 0. Why? Sir had said that बच्चा बिठाओ. बच्चा सुसुराएगा क्या यहाँ पे? बोलो तो नहीं जाएगा ना. बच्चा वही रहेगा. Slope 0 है. Slope 0 तो बच्चा वही रहेगा ना. बच्चा उतरेगा ही नहीं. You didn't put that simple बच्चा वाला concept out here. See, बच्चा नहीं जाएगा. So slope is 0. And 90 होने से हम कहते हैं the slope is infinity. You cannot quantify it. बच्चा एकदम ऊपर चला जाएगा. Infinity. And infinity is written like this. You join both. So it's like this. Lens काट के symbol जैसा. ठीक है? Now we have all types of lines in our hand. Line can be standing line, line can be sleeping line, line can be slanting line. Standing, slope is infinity. Sleeping, slope is 0. Slanting depends upon the case. If it is slanting towards the right, slope is positive. If it is slanting towards the left, slope is negative. How do you know, sir? Simple. I have got one tool, positive direction of x-axis. उसको निकालने का, draw करने का, angle को देखने का और बोलने का. आइए, ये सब के बाद एक summary table बनाते हैं. Summary. And summary is what? It's all about that theta. What is theta? Theta is angle between given line and positive direction of, ये सब ICSE में है, x-axis. And I'm drawing the positive direction of x-axis with that same green color so that it remembers in your memory. It's sharp in your memory. So let's take our cases. Case number 1, theta is acute. You tell me, what about slope? What should I write? Slope is
Positive.
positive. And theta is acute. Fatafat, let us make the diagram also. How should the angle look like? How should the line look like? The line will always look like something like this. Only then theta will be positive. Okay, you people may get confused with your colors. Slope is positive, so let me draw it with white color only, right? This is right. So this is this, and let the line be like this. And what's your positive direction of x-axis? Anywhere you can draw. Sir, where should I draw? Sir, draw anywhere. Your territory, your ichha. Yes. No, line is wrong. What I drew is a completely wrong picture. So the right picture would be this slide. This. And now draw positive direction of x-axis. And where is theta? Theta is here. Okay. Number 1 conclusion. Number 2 conclusion. Theta is obtuse. Slope is what?
Negative.
Negative. So let's make an obtuse wala case. Let's make the obtuse case. How will the obtuse case look like? Like this, like this. Let's make an obtuse. Just like this. Okay. And out here. Where is my theta? My theta is here. This is obtuse. This is acute. This is obtuse. Number 3. Number 3, theta is 0 degree. Slope is
0.
Slope is 0. So let's make that diagram also. Slope is 0. We'll make it here. Sorry. We'll make it here. Make it here. And our line is line kahin bhi bana lo, yahan bana lo. And where's the positive direction of x-axis? The positive direction of x-axis is here. This is positive direction of x-axis. Right, fine. So we say theta is equal to 0 degree. And number 4, this you cannot forget. Write it in a nice paper and paste it in front of your table. Theta is 90 degree. What does the scenario look like? The scenario looks something like this.
Slope will be infinity.
Slope will be infinity. Line like this, and make your positive direction anywhere to your choice. Right, this is theta. This is theta. Theta is equal to 90 degrees. Clear? This summary is clear. So we have now understood nature of slope. So far, what did you understand? Slope of a line, and you basically understood nothing more than the nature of slope. You still don't know how to calculate. It's just looking like as if I'm writing Netflix. Tuck, 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 tuck. I red colored it twice. So this is about nature of slope. Okay, are you fine with nature of slope so far? So nature can be positive, negative, infinity, and 0. Anyone? Any questions? Pratiji, diagram बनाया कि नहीं?
Sir, वही बना रही हूँ.
इतना देर नहीं बना रहे थे, मैं देख रहा था. मैं सोचा कि आप बनाएंगे. अब देखो आप लैग कर जाओगे डिस्कशन में. डायग्राम यू कैन ऑलवेज मेक विद सर ना. सर भी तो बनाएगा. सर को जितना टाइम लगेगा, यू विल टेक लिटिल बिट मोर बिकॉज आई एम यूजिंग सॉफ्टवेयर, यू आर यूजिंग पेन. दैट्स द ओनली डिफरेंस बिटवीन you and me. Another week from now, I'll also be using pen, marker pens. Right? Your jail is almost ready now.
Approximately how many days, sir?
Within this month itself, we'll have our trial classes started. Tomorrow, our board is getting delivered. And by tomorrow or day after, we'll have our IKEA shipments and then we're done.
Our classes will start from June 1st.
Meaning
Classes will
Sunday
start.
तक हो
Classes
जाएगा.
are there every day, the way they are. Okay.
Around Sunday तक complete हो जाएगा.
हाँ, पहले कुछ trial classes करेंगे. We'll see. Then I'll have a trial class. You all will be here. Then you all will be here. Few of you trial, and then we'll go slowly but to see.
एक minute.
Yeah. यहाँ तक समझ में आए कि नहीं वो बोलो.
Yes, sir, understood.
Okay. Now we'll go to value of slope. Slope कैसे निकालते हैं? How to calculate slope? So far, you are only learning mathematics. Huh? You are learning mathematics of straight line. And and about these slope, there are some small 10-minute capsule videos on that YouTube channel में है slope of a line. 10 minute के capsule बना के मैंने एक बार रखा हुआ है. Those are not in any playlist. There's a playlist called slope of a line. You can go and see. There I've tried because this is so important. This is the basics of physics, basics of calculus, basics of differential calculus. If you don't understand this, you will not understand anything. You'll be just rectifying things. Chalo, chale aage. Shall we?
Yes,
Zoe
sir.
madam, over. Can I go ahead? Chalo. Now we'll do calculation of slope. Very interesting. Calculation of slope. So one thing we have understood as we start doing calculation of slope, as of now, we are calculating slope for a line, right? We are calculating slope for a line. And we know that the slope of a line is always constant. Achha, now henceforth I'll write K. K in mathematics stands for constant. K means constant. Slope of a line is constant. So it doesn't matter where you measure the slope. Where you measure the slope. You can measure anywhere in the line, right? Ek line ke kahin bhi measure kar lo, you have found the slope. It's just like measuring the voltage in your house. Sir, in our bedroom it is 240 volt, but in our balcony it is less. But in your whole house the voltage will be same wherever you measure, right? So we're going to measure the slope of a line. Chalo, how to measure the slope of a line? Slope of a line is something like absolutely kiddo cartoon type study. Slope of a line. Let's take a line. Tang, 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 tang. It's like the slope of line, right? To find out the slope of a line, You actually need 2 points. Okay, we need 2 points. Okay, tell me how to draw a line. To draw a line, how many points do you need? To draw a line, how many minimum points do you need? एक line draw करने के लिए कितना minimum point? 2. बस 2 points आ गया, line draw हो गया, right? तो यहाँ भी हमें 2 points चाहिए. This is 1 point. Sorry, this is point number 1 and point number 2. We need just 2 points to find the slope of a line. Let's call these points as. Let us call this point as point P, and let me call this point as point Q. And now drop your pens and keep your eye on the screen, otherwise you will not understand. Okay, how to calculate the slope of the line. Let me say that P point corresponds to the x-axis. Q point also has a value on x-axis. P has a value on y-axis, and Q also has a value on y-axis. Now let me name them. Let me call this as x1. Let me call this as x2. Let me call this as y1. Let me call this as y2. I'll give you time to copy. You don't worry. Just don't take your eyes away from the screen. I'm myself saying don't write. Itna samajh mein aaya? X1, x2, y1, y2. So if you go back to grade 9,
Explain this again.
P and Q are 2 points. And so if you go in grade 9, what is the coordinate of Q? Q is x2, y2, and P is x1, y1. Ye samajh mein aaya na? Okay, these are the 2 points, how you have plotted them, right? Now, how to calculate the slope? Step number 1. Step number 1, position. Don't write anything, just understand. Position yourself at P point. So you position yourself at P point. So there you have positioned yourself at P. Okay? Pepper is right now at P and he wants to go to Q. You have to go to Q and you have to move till Q, but you are allowed only X and Y axis movement. Something like if you have played chess, you are allowed movement like a rook. वो नाव जो होता है ना चेस में लास्ट में रहता है रुक, वो कैसे जाता है, ऐसे ऐसे जाता है ना, straight. You are not allowed. You can move either. Are you understanding what is rook of a chess? Chess में जो last वाला coin रहता है, how does it move? It moves on x-axis.
Sideways or
Yeah, it can't move diagonally. It can't move like a bishop diagonally. हाथी जैसा diagonal नहीं जा सकता है. Have you understood? You are allowed to move in this way. So how do you move? You have 2 choices now left with you. If I've constrained you like this, I've constrained you now. I've given a condition, you can't move the way you want. So you do 2 things. So Pepper and his brother first climb up. Fine. And then Pepper and George move to the right. This is option number 1. Or option number 2 would be Pepper and George first go to the right and then move to Q. That's the only way they can reach Q. Understood? If you move upwards, it is known as rise. If you move this way, it is known as run. My first question to you, have you understood what is rise and what is run? Rise is a vertical climb, run is a horizontal. Rise means vertical, means y-axis climb. Run means horizontal, means x-axis climb. Have you understood this much or not? Write down this much. I will wait for you. As you write, you will understand. You'll get stuck up. You can ask question. First thing is find 2 points and then position yourself at P, and your idea is to reach Q, but you are constrained. You cannot move the way you want. You can only move on X and Y axis. So either you run and then rise, or you rise and then run. Choice is yours, the way you would like to go. ठीक है, कॉपी कीजिए. देखने में सब आसान लगता है, यही जब 8 दिन बाद आएगा ना, हिब्रू एंड लैटिन लगेगा देखने में. And please prepare your notes. Go through the video. 1 hour video takes 1 hour 6 minutes. Now I'll ask note submission also. Wait. Otherwise tightening will not happen. Yes, Vivan, no point in squeezing your forehead skin. The more you squeeze, I am more sadist. I love to give more tightness. So if you move on the x-axis, this is known as run. And if you move on the y-axis, then this is known as rise. हो जाए तो बोलना. इसमें थोड़ा क्लास जाएगा, एक दो क्लास तो जाएगा इसमें. We have, after this entire knowledge we have to marry in physics, but still now we are in mathematics only. Why have we taken only P and Q? Because sir, slope of a line is constant. You take any 2 points anywhere on the line. You take PQ, you take CD, your choice, sir. Just take 2 points which are considerably far apart. That's your only thing that you need to remember. Once you have taken that, position yourself on one point and your target is to go to the other point. Now we will see. Your thought might come, sir, why didn't we position ourselves at Q? We could have come from Q to P also. Yes, we'll see that also. Don't worry. Everything will be there. Sarthak Baba, only hearing or writing also?
Done.
Acha, done. Very good. So parallelly,
Done.
I'm drawing one more figure because let us not be biased for taking only positive type of slope wala diagram. Let us take a negative wala slope type diagram also. Otherwise, you'll say, sir, you are biased. So let us take like this. Let me find 2 points on this line. So 1 point is this and 1 point is this. So what is this point, sir? Let me call this point as P and let me call this point as Q. Let me mark them on the particular axis. So let me mark them. P goes here.
1 minute, sir.
Yeah, take your time. I am just making some markings. If you feel that you are not understanding, I'll explain you 101 number of times. Okay. This is x1, this is y1, this is x2, this is y2. Means P's coordinates are x1, y1 and Q's coordinates are x2, y2. And we position ourselves at, we are positioning ourselves at say P. We have positioned ourselves at P. In that case, the way we can come is, we can come from P till here and go this way, or our alternate could be, we can go this way and then come this way. बस इतना बना.
Sir,
हाँ बोलो सर.
sir, ऐसे भी तो सकता है हम P से नीचे जाए and
हाँ.
then we go to Q and then we can
P
also
से नीचे Q कैसे जाएगा? You are only allowed vertically down. P से नीचे जाने से Q तो कभी नहीं मिलेगा. Q तो is not on the vertical with P ना. Q is
no,
not
like going down and going towards Q.
you got, that's why I've drawn. You take, see, I'll mark this line separately. You take either this route, either you take this route, sorry. Either you take this wala route, or you take the non-red wala route, the complete blue wala route. Either way, you are allowed to go only Sida and X and Y axis. No other movement is allowed to you.
Sir, so both of them are equal only, right?
Both of them will form a rectangle. They are equal.
Square.
Rectangle हो जाएगा. Square कैसे होगा?
All sides are equal, no?
Two sides will be equal, not all sides. You are finding it because the diagram is made in such a manner. Otherwise, it will never be equal. All sides will never be equal. It will be a rectangle, always. It may be a square. It will be a square when the line passes through the origin with 45 degrees. Then it will be a square. Otherwise, it's not a square. ठीक है? इतना समझ में आया? But there is a question now. Okay. Now, sir, our question to you, sir, is that you call this run and you call this also run and you call this as rise and you call this as rise. Look at diagram number 1 and look at diagram number 2 and look at the rise. Is there a difference in the pattern of rise?
Yes, sir.
What is the
Going
difference?
downwards.
Falling down.
Yes.
The first one goes up and the
Yes.
second one comes down.
So there comes our second convention that we need to study. Right. This is also rise. This is also rise. This rise is towards the y positive. So this is a positive rise If the rise is like this, we'll take it as negative. Obviously, you're going towards patal, na? Negative means you're going downwards towards negative y. So what is the improvement of Jaideep Das in his studies? Sir, every term he's getting less marks. So what is his growth? Sir, growth is negative. He's not growing. Simple example. Last term he scored 20, this term he scored 40. Oh, that means the mercury is shooting upwards, north. So these are words that we use in economics. How do you say Hyderabad, the mercury is going north? Mercury is going north means the temperature is climbing up. And in winters, what we will say, the mercury is going south. Prices of iPhone are going north. That means iPhone prices are climbing. It's positive. Prices dipping. That means niche ja raha hai. Have you understood? Right. Isi tarha, with the same analogy, anything that goes towards right will be considered as a positive run, and anything that goes towards left will be considered as a negative run because you're going towards the negative. This run will be considered positive, this run will be considered negative. And you did not mug it up because this is towards y, this is towards y dash, this is towards x dash, this is towards x. So खत्म बात. इसमें कौन सी बड़ी बात है? Right hand side in our culture and everything, anything right is good. Child is born, we give the pen on the right hand. But later child became Sarthak, he is holding pen on left hand. That does not mean our child has become bad. But the convention is, नई बहू घर में आएगी, दाएं पांव से घुसिए, घुसते ही घर में आग लगा दिया, तो क्या अच्छा बहू है? बायां पांव से बहू आया, सबके साथ मिलके रहा, तो भी तो कोई खराब नहीं है. Right? But we have got conventions in our head that right means. So right means positive, left means negative. Fine, done. So now we come to our formula. So the formula for slope, which you have been waiting so far, formula of slope is very simple. It's rise over run. With sign. Okay, with sign. Okay, can you tell me between figure 1 and figure 2, which is a positive slope and which is a negative slope based on your angle wala funda? Based on your angle wala funda? Figure 1, if you are unable to find out which is figure 1, this is figure 1 and this is figure 2. Figure 1, what is the slope? Positive or negative?
Positive.
Positive.
Okay, here we have positive slope. Okay, calculate bhi karke dekhte hain. And here we have negative slope. Okay. Let's first calculate the negative slope. Right. What is slope equal to? Sir, slope is equal to rise over run. This is the general formula with sign. Okay, let us calculate our rise. Okay, let's calculate our rise. Our rise, we are going downwards. Okay, can you calculate what is the value of rise? Anyone? How much is the
We have
rise?
to count the boxes or something.
Yeah, but our rise is negative in any case. Don't you think it's a negative rise in this case? Because we are going down.
Oh, I thought you were asking about the first.
No, I'll ask that. I know where you're coming and I'll ask that. Our rise is negative out here. Do you agree? In case number 2, rise is negative, but run is positive. So what will this answer come? This answer will come negative. So we have tallied. Correct है हम लोग. मिस्टेक नहीं है ना? अभी हम वैल्यूज डाल के भी करेंगे. यहां जरा स्लोप कैलकुलेट करो तो. स्लोप क्या हो गया? Rise.
Rise positive, then positive.
Rise is also positive, run is also positive. इसका वैल्यू क्या आएगा? वैल्यू पॉजिटिव. अब जरा वैल्यूज लेके प्रॉब्लम करते हैं, ठीक है ना? और थोड़ा इंटरेस्टिंग करते हैं इसको. ठीक है, इतना समझ में आया? यस सर.
Can it be possible that rise will be positive and run can be
अरे
negative?
सब करते हैं ना, अभी देखते हैं ना. Slope can either be positive or negative, right? So if see, why are you asking me? You do the permutations now. Slope can be positive or can be negative. How can you get a positive? You can get a positive by positive, or the other option is get a negative by negative. Then only you will get a positive. These are the two options. How can you get a negative? Either I get a positive by negative or I get a negative by positive. Simple. These are the only things. और आप ऊपर में डाल दो, ये rise होगा, ये run होगा, या तो फिर ये rise होगा, ये run होगा, या तो ये rise है, ये भी rise है. हाँ. This is rise and this is run. This is run. खत्म. ऐसे ही हो सकता है, और तो कुछ नहीं हो सकता ना. These are the only thing. Now let's take some examples and exactly what Zoe is trying to hint, I'll now ask you that. Okay, let's take our line out here. Let's take the line out here. Let's take 2 points. This is 1 point and this is 1 point. Okay, let me say that this point is 0.1 and this is 0.2. How do you want to come? 1 to 2 or 2 to 1? Aap bolo. How do you want to go?
2 to 1.
2 to 1. 2 to 1. So we are trying to go this way. So what is our rasta to go from 2 to 1? Slope has to come negative for this one. First we'll go like this. So tell me.
And then run.
So what about the rise? Is the rise positive or negative?
It is positive.
Rise is positive. Very good.
And then
What
run
about
is
the run?
negative.
Run is negative.
Run is negative. बस रन क्या आया? रन नेगेटिव आया. स्लोप क्या हो जाएगा?
Negative.
पॉजिटिव बाय नेगेटिव मींस नेगेटिव स्लोप आ गया. उल्टा करके देखते हैं. सर विल गो फ्रॉम 1 to 2. चलो 1 से 2 जाएंगे. हाउ टू गो? सर दिस टाइम वी विल लाइक टू फर्स्ट गो इन दिस डायरेक्शन. वेरी गुड. दिस इज योर
It
राइज.
is positive and rise
Rise
is
is
Negative.
and then we have to run. So how do you run? Sorry, you have to rise. How much you rise? Your rise
rise is negative. Run
The rise is
positive.
negative, run is positive.
उल्टा लिख दिया है.
आपने
Sorry.
rise लिखा.
हाँ उल्टा लिख दिया. Sorry. Run is this and rise is.
And
Negative.
negative.
तो स्लोप क्या हो गया? नेगेटिव.
Negative by negative.
एक और लाइन लेते हैं. इसी में एक लाइन लेते हैं. Let's take one more line. Okay. Need not worry about this. Now you have understood. This is the line. Looking at it, we know the slope is positive. Looking at it, we know the slope is positive, right? And we will also see how we got infinity also. That also we'll see. Just be with me. I don't want to leave you out here now. Okay. So let the 10th graders wait. Nothing to worry. Let's go from, let's say 0.3, 0.4. How do you want to move? 3 to 4 or 4 to 3? You say.
3 to 4 and then 4.
3 to 4 you want to move. चलो 3 to 4 move करेंगे. 3 to 4 move करने के लिए rise कैसा हुआ?
Positive.
Positive and then run.
Run is
also
negative.
Run is also positive.
Run
So
is also
slope is
Positive,
positive.
Positive.
So slope is positive.
Yes, sir.
Rise is positive. Run है. Let's move from 4 to 3 move करते हैं अभी. ठीक है ना? ये बढ़िया लगेगा आपको. 4 to 3. What is your comment on the rise?
Rise is negative and run is also negative.
Run is also negative. So what do you end up with? You end up with a negative over negative, which is positive.
Positive.
Positive, yes.
मजा आया?
Yes, sir.
So all
Sir.
you need to do is that जब भी आपको स्लोप कोई निकालने के लिए बोलेगा, आपको दिमाग खराब नहीं करना है. Between the 2 points, you find out what is the delta y and you find out what is the delta x. Once you know these two, then you treat with the sign. Treat with sign. And you know your treatment with sign. Your treatment with sign is what? You only treat with what? If it's rise over run. And if the rise is in this side, it's positive. If the rise here, it's negative. If the run is here, positive. If the run is here, negative. Okay. 2 examples we'll see and then we'll conclude. Don't मतलब जोश संभाल के रखो. ठीक है ना? बॉर्डर मूवी की तरह. धर्मपाल पोस्ट होल्ड करके रहो. 2 एग्जांपल. बड़ा मजा आएगा यहाँ पे. Okay. Let us first take this line. Knowledge क्या बोलता है? Slope should be 0. Because अपना हथियार है ना, निकालो कौन सा? पॉजिटिव डायरेक्शन ऑफ एक्स एक्सिस. स्लोप शुड बी 0. चलो इसको टेस्ट करते हैं. 2 पॉइंट ले लो. यस शौर्या, यू वर आंसरिंग, सो आई वांट यू ओनली टू आंसर. व्हाट अबाउट रन? ओके, लेट मी नेम द पॉइंट्स. पॉइंट 1, पॉइंट 1 and point 2. How do you want to move, Shaurya? 1 to 2 or 2 to 1?
1 to 2.
1 to 2 he wants to move. Okay, comment me on the run.
Run is positive.
Okay, our Shaurya Singh says run is positive. How many of you agree with him? I agree with him. Don't say that because I agree with him, he's correct. I agree. Shaurya, what about a rise now?
There should not be any rise, I think.
There should not be any rise. So in mathematics, what do you call to that figure?
0 rise.
हाँ बस और क्या. छा गया तुम यार आज एक रोटी ज्यादा खाओ मेरे नाम पे. Rise 0. आज स्लोप बताओ इसका क्या हो गया? Slope is rise by run. 0 by some quantity is always 0. खत्म बात. Mathematically proved. अच्छा 2 से 1 करके देखें. चलो 2 से 1 चलते हैं. रन कैसा है?
Negative.
अच्छा 2 से 1 किया तो रन कैसा आया? Run is negative. What about rise? rise is still 0. And what is slope? Slope is 0 by negative.
Again, 0.
मजा आ गया. अब लास्ट वाला रह गया, उसको भी ले लेते हैं. कहाँ? इंफिनिटी वाला,
90 degrees.
90 डिग्री वाला. 2 पॉइंट लेते हैं. चलो प्रतीची, तुमको बहुत जोश है, तुम ही आंसर करेगा ये. आ जाओ. ठीक है, दिस इज पॉइंट नंबर 1. पॉइंट नंबर 2 कैसे जाएगी? 1 से 2 जाएगी कि 2 से 1 जाएगी? बोलो.
1 से 2.
1 से 2. 1 से 2 के लिए राइज करते हैं. चलो आ जाओ. यू विल राइज लाइक दिस. बताओ राइज क्या हुआ?
Positive.
राइज पॉजिटिव हुआ. रन क्या करोगे?
Run negative हो जाएगा. एक
नेगेटिव करोगे तो लाइन से बाहर गिर जाओगे.
oh,
तो लाइन ही में रहना है. 2 पॉइंट. हाँ बोलो सार्थक, बोलो. रन क्या है? रन 0 है. कोई रन ही नहीं है. रन 0. तो स्लोप क्या हो गया? स्लोप हो गया सम पॉजिटिव क्वांटिटी बाय 0. और ऐसे क्वांटिटी को मैथमेटिक्स में बोलते हैं इनडिटरमिनेट. यू कैन नॉट डिटरमाइन इट. हिंदी में बोलते हैं अपरिभाषित. इसकी कोई परिभाषा नहीं है. Indeterminate. That means this is equal to infinity, or you can use the word DNE, does not exist. Slope does not exist. Okay, let's go from 2 to 1. Rise कैसा है? Negative.
negative.
Run is again 0.
0.
So indeterminate.
Negative by 0, infinite.
Infinity or DNE does not exist. So coming to the conclusion, and I am not touching anything. I want you all that after the class you can see the video and write your notes. Tell me one thing. A line can be of 3 types. Vertical, that is called standing, slope infinity. Sleeping, slope 0, or inclined. In inclined, it can make an acute angle or an obtuse angle. With what? Positive direction of x-axis. If it makes an acute angle with positive direction of x-axis, slope is positive.
Positive.
If it makes an acute angle with obtuse angle with positive direction of x-axis, slope is
Negative.
How do we calculate slope? Slope is rise over run. Any conventions to remember? Yes, sir. If you go upwards, rise is positive. If you go downwards, rise is negative. You go leftwards, run is negative. You go rightwards, run is positive. That's all. And both the analogies have to give you a right figure. And now, just ending the discussion with one question. जो आंसर करेगा उसको मिलता है बहुत सारा क्या? श्रेय और ख्याति. ओके, फटाक से. ये एक लाइन, किसका स्लोप ज्यादा है? क्विक.
Line 2.
First वाले का.
1 2 तो लिखा ही नहीं अभी मैंने. रुको यार. 1 and 2 किसका?
Second का. Second.
Line.
सेकंड का स्लोप ज्यादा है. कैसे पता चला?
Because the fall is more, the fall is greater.
If you place a kid, the kid will come more quickly on line 2. है ना?
It's more
Slight-
steep.
Yes, more steep. Yes, that's the better word. So the theta, I told you, na, theta does not give me slope. Theta gives me a measurement of slope. So if I now say that children, this is alpha and this is beta, if you are correct with your vision, you will say alpha is more than beta. If that is the case, then slope of 2 is more than slope of 4. I cannot tell the value by looking at theta and alpha. Tell me, when you have fever, your parent touches or your mom and dad touches you like this. Can they tell you what is the temperature measurement? No, but they can tell whether you are having fever or not. So the angle makes me gauge the slope, nature of slope. Whereas rise over run tells me what? Rise over run tells me about, and if you now see, ऐसा कर दो ना इसको, यही तो rise है और यही run है. Anyone who has little bit knowledge of trigonometry, for alpha, this will be called opposite side and this will be called adjacent side. Later, when you learn trigonometry, this is called tan of alpha. Tan of alpha is nothing but rise or run. And this we'll discuss in next class. Does the angle tell me about the slope? Yes, it also tells me how. Take the tan of that angle. Now, what is tan? We will understand it in next class. Tan is a ratio. If you take tan, suppose you have your calculators, on your scientific calculators, you've got a switch called tan. Tan is rise over run because this is slope. We know rise over run is slope. So this one can also give me the value of slope. You do not know now what is tan. If you would have known what is tan, you can say, sir, take the angle and find its tan value. Uska tan maar do, immediately slope aa gaya. ठीक है? So for us right now, what do we know? We will only look at the angle. And I'm looking at the angle. Acha, tell me last one more answer. ये बता दो. ये इसमें बताओ। ये जरा सोच के आंसर देना, हाँ फटाक से आंसर मत दे देना। लाइन 1, लाइन 2। First of all, what about the nature of slope of 1 and 2?
Line 1.
What about the nature of slope of line 1 and 2? Nature.
Line one is more
Negative.
steep.
Arey, what about the
Negative.
nature of 1 and 2?
अच्छा, okay.
Negative.
Let's say.
They
Negative,
both are
negative.
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 Excited. Please listen. भगवान ने 2 कान दिया, 1 मुंह दिया है. ज्यादा सुनो, कम बोलो. Slope is negative. Understood?
Yes, sir.
Who has a more negative slope?
2,
1, 2.
2.
2.
2.
अरे 1 और 2 में ही तो एक होगा. जो 1 या 2 बोल रहे हो, अपना रीजनिंग देके बोलो. Who has a more negative slope?
1 has more fall, right?
I want the answer with an explanation. You are going on the negative side, mind you. In negative, okay, tell me. Between negative 2 and negative 4, who is a bigger number? Which is a bigger number?
Negative 2.
Negative two.
Negative
Negative
2.
two. Negative 1, negative 1.
ये पीटू का पकड़ के नेगेटिव 4 में कौन बड़ा नंबर है? नेगेटिव 2 और नेगेटिव 4 में बड़ा नंबर कौन सा है?
Negative 2.
2. So the analogy is not same like the analogy used in positive. Same thing applies here. And Zoe had given little bit of answer of that. बच्चा बिठाओ इसमें, बच्चा बिठाओ. बच्चा किधर जोर से गिरेगा? 1 से गिरेगा या 2 से गिरेगा?
1 से.
1 से. 1 का स्लोप ज्यादा है पर वो नेगेटिव स्लोप है. 2 का स्लोप कम है. दोनों ही स्लोप नेगेटिव है. नेगेटिव में भी 1 का नेगेटिव स्लोप ज्यादा है. ठीक है ना? क्योंकि बच्चा ज्यादा जोर से गिरेगा. 2 में बच्चा कम से गिरेगा. समझ में आया? Slope is all about the fall of a kid. Wherever the kid falls with a more, what do you call, speed, the slope ज्यादा है वहां पे. सीधी बात. ये बात अलग है कि वो नेगेटिव स्लोप है और ये पॉजिटिव स्लोप है. That's a different thing. So is slope clear now? Slope of a line is basically studied only when the line is slanting line. It can be slanting this, that. You can have positive slope, negative slope. Rise over run, rise over run. And how do you calculate rise? Rise is always vertical, so delta y. And what about run? Sir, run is always horizontal, means delta x. Delta y by delta x. How will you treat it? Sir, I will treat it based on how I went on with my rise and how I went with my run. If I've climbed up, I will take delta y as positive. If I've climbed down, my delta y is negative. If I've run towards the right hand side, delta x is positive. Left hand side, delta x is negative. And based on that equation में बिठा दो, आ जाएगा आपको slope. Next class we will marry this in physics straight away, because the graphs we will be getting will be ST graph, VT graph, and AT graph. So be prepared for that in our next class.
Yes, sir.
ठीक है? ये आपको लक्ष्मी सिंह में नहीं मिलेगा, लेकिन लक्ष्मी सिंह आपको सीधा बोलेगा कैलकुलेट द स्लोप. अरे स्लोप ही नहीं पता, कैसे कैलकुलेट करेंगे? ठीक है, चले.
Sir,
Yes.
can you scroll up once I had one doubt?
Yeah. Tell me. Don't worry. You can.
Little more up, little more. Yeah. In the first graph, you wrote x2 is greater than x1 and y2 is greater than y1, but y2 is like farther away, and then x1 is also farther away from the line.
Where beta? This one. Okay, let me see. See, look at the y2. See, the points are like this. If this point is x2, its corresponding y point is y2. This is the understanding. If this point is x1, its corresponding y point is y1. So if you see y1 has a greater value, है ना? y1 यहाँ से इतना दूर है और y2 सिर्फ इतना दूर है. So y1 बड़ा है, y2 छोटा है. Therefore, if you do y1 minus y2, आपको ये फिगर क्या आएगा? y1 यहाँ पे बड़ा है. So ये फिगर आपको आना चाहिए, यहाँ पे रॉन्ग हुआ है. y1 minus y2 करने से ये पॉजिटिव वैल्यू आना चाहिए. It should be a positive value because y1 बड़ा है. And if you take y1, then here also you should take x1. Then if you take x1 minus x2, then you will get this as negative. x1 छोटा है. मिलेगा ही मिलेगा ultimately. Therefore, I say don't even bother about this thing at all. You concentrate on this and this. You find out the values of, just find out the difference. Don't worry about the sign. Sign you will put based on how you traveled. ठीक है?
Yeah.
Chalo.
Thank you.
And since this diagram does not have values, as Zoe was saying, I will count the blocks. When you get the diagrams, you will get the diagrams on a graph paper, and there you will get values. There you cannot do a mistake. You cannot do a mistake. वहाँ पे automatically सब ठीक ठाक आएगा आपका. Now we don't have values. There was it was coming arbitrarily. ठीक है?
Yeah. Okay.
चलिए. Right then. Thank you for your attention and go through it. I'm sure there will be a lot of doubts on this section. And if there are doubts, bring them up. We can again have our discussion done and then we move to another. So that by the time your school reopens, you should be champion of these equations and these formulas. ठीक है? चलिए. Right. Bye-bye.